So we may be running into some kind of serious issue. We're hurting. Americans are losing $600 of weekly unemployment, but many still can't find work. And that's the $600 extra on top of their state's unemployment. That's coming to an end on July 31st. We'll take a read here real quick. It says the $600 weekly unemployment boost lapsed this weekend after lawmakers failed to extend the aid. And I guess I was incorrect. I thought that lasted through the 31st. Let's see what it says below. Pineda and Kacey Levesque, two accountants from Florida, will get just $275 a week in state jobless benefits without the federal subsidy. They've had a tough time finding new jobs, putting them in a difficult financial position. There's Cynthia. She was the breadwinner of her family before the pandemic hit. But Pineda, 60, who lost her accounting job in early April, and her husband, an hourly worker who does fiber-optic cabling, has been getting just 2 or 3 days of work per week. Unemployment benefits have been keeping the family, who live in Davenport, Florida, afloat. Not familiar with Davenport myself. Geography-wise, I don't know where it is. But having lived in Florida myself, I know that the cost of living there is really low. Unless you're talking about living in some nice high-rise in Miami or some nice condo on the beach in South Florida. The rest of Florida, for those of you who aren't aware of it, really affordable. Actually, let me add one more to that. The Panhandle, or like Destin area where the beaches are at. If you're talking about living along the beach in one of these nice condos, nice houses, obviously real estate can get expensive, but if you're talking about living a little bit further inland, you can get a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment for $1,000. Whereas some places, cost of living is a lot more. And some places, of course, it's cheaper. That's largely due to a $600 weekly supplement to state unemployment checks. But that federal subsidy ended Saturday, leaving the family with $275 a week, $1,100 a month. Too little to cover the mortgage, and other bills. Even with the enhancement, her pay is much less than it had been at work. All right, so we're starting to get some details here. The first thing I want to say is, and this will probably start to sound like I'm being a little bit of a dick here, but when you're 60 already, there's something that you didn't do properly in life, perhaps, if you still have a mortgage. And if a setback like this, assuming that she was the only one getting the $600 enhancement, that assuming that $2,400 isn't enough, what kind of mortgage do you have to where that extra money really wasn't enough? Because if you take a $500,000, $600,000 loan, you'd be looking at a mortgage that's what, $2,500, $2,700. I'm just kind of roughly throwing out some numbers here. And that's not including the state benefit. Now, obviously, we're just talking about her, for example. It says here she was getting $275 a week. So what if we throw another $1,100 on top of that $2,400? You're looking at $3,500 a month. They say her husband was an hourly worker who does fiber optic cabling. So was he totally laid off during that time? Because if he was, wouldn't he get the additional $600 of a boost as well, plus whatever unemployment he could have got? Now, assuming he didn't get laid off, then he was working that whole time, and she was getting $3,500 a month. Now, individuals who aren't in that great of a situation, tell me what you can do with $3,500 a month, plus whatever the husband's making. And they're 60 years old, so assuming they did things right in life or just didn't fall into that consumerism trap like we have in the United States, the mortgage should be paid off or close to it because you're 60 now. And again, it's Florida, so keep in mind it's not like it's Los Angeles or New York City or some other high cost of living place. Why do you not have money in savings? She's about 2.5 years from retirement now, so at least she's close. Imagine if this happened to somebody who was in their 30s or 40s. I would certainly understand it a bit more from a financial perspective if they were having the stress with the bills and everything, but how do you not have money saved up? How do you not have the house paid off? Not trying to hate, not trying to be a dick. I know it's going to come off like that, but like I always say, you can't let these things slow you down. And I know that it's a kick in the butt for so many people, so many of you out there watching this video, but my hope, as I've said in other videos, is just that you find a way to put yourself in a good position, that if you were getting this boost, extra $600 a week, maybe it's less than you were making at your job before, but hopefully you were prudent with that money and not expecting it to just continue forever. It'd be great if the government said, hey, here's an extra $600 for the next 5 years. We're just going to hang out inside and hide out from the Rona. Those of you individuals out there, I hope that you're responsible and have been responsible with it to curtail your spending, because you just can't know what's going to happen with this stuff. And now you've got states trying to lock down again. Stuff's getting ridiculous, right? So I just don't want to see people in this position. So I hope for you that you have been able to, as I said, kind of curtail your stuff and just be wise with it and just realize that it's not guaranteed that they're going to do the $600 again. And it looks like they're not. Talking about $100, $200 maybe in terms of a boost. But let's read a little more. It says Pineda has frantically applied for jobs for weeks, but job postings have fallen and the number of applicants per open position has swelled. She said, I was an accounting manager, a controller, and now I'm looking for entry-level accounting positions, she said, and I can't even get that. With little income and dim prospects for work, Pineda fears what will happen if Congress doesn't extend the $600 unemployment subsidy or cuts it significantly. It's pretty scary out there, she said. It's pretty scary because where do you turn? And actually, and I've said this in my other videos before too, though, I don't necessarily agree with the $600. I get it. I get why they did it in the beginning, but I thought it was overkill for sure. And I get it in the sense of, hey, the governments are doing this. Not necessarily the federal government totally, but state governments. Say California shuts everything down. What are they going to do? Expect the federal government to just kick in $600 a week for all these individuals? If California itself is shutting down and other states aren't, then California needs to pony up that money. They can't just sit there and be like, oh, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this, but say Nevada, Idaho, Montana, for instance, aren't. But yeah, go ahead and give us the money and we'll give it to the people. Fundamentally damaged, it says. Those who try to find a job may find it difficult in a labor market that remains fundamentally damaged. Despite businesses adding about 7.5 million jobs in May and June, there are still 14 million more unemployed workers than there are job openings, according to the Economic Policy Institute. I wonder why there are so many jobs that aren't open. I wonder if there's a way where we can create jobs out there for Americans. I wonder who's taking a lot of these jobs. Evidence points to job growth slowing dramatically or even falling this month as CV cases spike, and several states have reimposed shutdown measures. That's what I said, you don't want to have to count on the feds. Recent Census Bureau surveys imply that employment has fallen by more than 6 million over the past month, according to Ernie Tedeschi, an economist at Everscore ISI. We have a long way to go, Tedeschi said. We made great progress in May and June, but we're not even close to a tight labor market yet. Yeah, you think? All right, it looks like there's another story here. Kacey Levesque, which they mentioned above. We'll go ahead and kind of skip that, but go ahead and pause it if you want to look at her story. It looks like she's 61. She had some health issues New health insurance plan requires her to pay more than $8,000. Yow! And it looks like what she's going to get will cover her rent, but not much else. Job search has been fruitless. She said she'd work for entry-level wages. Like I said, go ahead and pause it here. I'll link this, of course. Like I always say, sometimes people may seem like they're being a dick about stuff, but ultimately, all I ever hope for all of you, anybody watching this video, is that we learn from this, that we don't take things for granted, and we find a way to ensure that we're putting that money away. I talked about this in the past. They said something like, what was it, 69% of people, I think it was, don't even have $1,000 in the bank for an emergency. Don't let that happen to you. I know that it's not always practical. I know that a lot of you may have situations that don't allow for saving money and all that stuff, but whatever you can do, if there's a way for you to learn from this and say, hey, look, these stupid recessions, for whatever reason, seem to come along once a decade. Nobody could have foreseen this. The next time it comes around, you tell yourself this isn't going to happen to me. I'm not going to put myself and my family in a situation where we're taking too many vacations. We're buying too many of the latest and greatest things. I just bought this boat on credit. I got a mortgage I can't afford. Don't let it happen to you. It's hard enough out there with the government itself, and I'm going to blame both parties for this, importing a lot of workers that take American jobs and drive down our wages. Legal and illegal immigration. It's bad enough that we all have to deal with that, to deal with these recessions and dumb stuff like this. Just don't put yourself in a position, if possible, where you sacrifice the long term for short-term materialism. And as I've said, I know that it's a heck of a thing to do because they're always bashing us over the head with materialism and consumerism, but set your family up and yourself to be good in the long run to where you don't have these stresses as best you can. That's all I want for everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Be good to your money. All the best.